Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday to you. Here it is already June 5th, and we're getting ready to come into summer. First of all, while I record this video, I want you to know that our neighbors are sandblasting, so it may get loud. And Daisy, our next door neighbor dog, has been out barking. So we will see if it stays quiet for a few minutes. Anyways, I just wanted just a couple things, couple housekeeping things before I move on. One, Gatsby essays. If I gave you feedback and you have your feedback and you felt, comfortable with everything going on to edit it and put it up in the school loop assignment section, then great, go ahead and do that. If I have not given you feedback, but you did do something on the assignment, you can go ahead and just put that up as is right now in the school loop assignment, and we can talk feedback later on. If you weren't able to get to the essay, it's okay. There is a lot going on in the world right now, a lot, and we have had to do a giant pivot. And you know, uh, you just gotta take it a day at a time, you guys. Sometimes an hour at a time, sometimes a minute at a time, sometimes a second at a time. That really gets me through thinking like that. Otherwise, I become overwhelmed, like I'm sure you do too. You guys have a lot going on. So just do what you can, okay? Uh, the majority of you are have credit. Like I said, if you had a passing grade in my class on March 13th, you have a passing grade now. So just hang in there. Okay? So that's first thing. Gatsby will be here for the rest of our lives. So I want you to remember that in the fall, it's not like I'm just not your teacher anymore. I'm always your teacher. I am always your instructor. I am always your professor. My entire life, I will be your teacher. Okay. So when the fall comes, if you're in a 12th grade class and you're like, hey, Miss Wood, we didn't get a chance for a lot of feedback. Can you help me with this? Or hey, Miss Wood, can you remind me how to upload or download or PDF or make a PowerPoint or make a Google slide or whatever you need me to teach you? I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. In fact, I'm going to be here all summer. I'm not going anywhere. Okay. So you just have to remember to consider me a source, like going to the library and access me as needed. Um, and also, I can help you with other things. I've told you that before. If you have questions about stuff going on at school, or um, I usually can answer those things or get answers for you. And for those of you that have asked me to answer things like that for you over the last couple months, you know that. So I'm here, okay, ever present. Here I am. Miss Wood, I'm here for you. Okay, so I just want you to remember you can contact me. And a lot of you guys contact me on IG or whatever, and that's great as long as we're in touch. I'm here. I just want you to know that I'm present. Okay. Having said that, I want to talk a little bit about summer school. So they are offering summer school this year. I think it's June 22nd through July 24th, or vice versa. No, I think it's June 22nd through July 24th. This is what I want you guys to understand. They're doing Apex. So for those of you that have done Apex before, you know what it is. It's where like Mr. Slater does it for zero period, but basically it's like I open a unit for you. You work through the unit. You test. I think it's 70%. You have to get a 70% like on your final test, and then you move on to the next unit. Okay. Now, the cool thing about summer school this year, one, of course, it's distance learning, which can be easier or can be a challenge, depending. But the cool thing is that you move through it at your own pace, which means if you're doing like a credit recovery thing where you have to make up like English from ninth grade or 10th grade or something like that, and you are signed up to do summer school, if you complete all your work like within the first week at like 70%, pass rate, you're done. You have your credits. You work at your own pace. It's like college in that respect, okay? So just know that this would be a good opportunity if you need to do something like that. If you're making up something or you're deficient in something, this would be a good opportunity for you to do so. and to work at your own pace and to be able to complete something quicker or take the full amount of time. And the other cool thing is if you don't finish in the full amount of time, they will allow you to finish, pick up the apex in the fall. So it's a good opportunity if you need to make up any credits. So just keep that in mind. I'm not going to be the English teacher at Millikan. I'm doing Cabrillo. I'm really excited about that. I have a bunch of friends at Cabrillo, so I'm going to be doing English 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6 for Cabrillo. However, having said that, if you end up doing summer school and you need my help, you can contact me and I will help you, or I will contact your instructors for you. I'm here, ever present. Don't forget that. Okay. So just keep that in mind. You might need a breather after the way things have been, but I'm just saying it could be a cool opportunity for you to get on top of things if you've fallen behind in anything. Okay. Um, Last thing, um, I love you and I miss you and I wish you all well. And I want you to stay safe and I want you to stay healthy. And I want you to take time to process and reflect on everything that's going on and how you can always make things better for everyone. And um, and really, that's it. I just want you to know that you're loved. I'm here. You're missed. And I hope you're enjoying learning about Edgar Allan Poe. So I told you I was going to talk a little bit about Poe and the death lesson. So what's really interesting about Edgar Allan Poe is there's a lot of interesting things about Poe. I think the thing that bothers me most is that Rufus Griswold, his arch enemy, was born on my birthday, February 13th. That's not fair. Um, but what's interesting about Poe is Poe has had such an influence on the writers of the genre of science fiction and mystery. And he was the one that created the detective genre. There was no detective genre before Poe. In fact, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle says that he based Sherlock Holmes on one of Poe's detective characters. Okay? So we see his influence. We see it on Stephen King. We see it on Ray Bradbury. We see it on Guillermo del Toro. We see it on rappers. There's rappers that his cadence, his rhythm influenced them. So, these are all things to consider. So, what's interesting about Poe's death is nobody really knows what happened. Um, his wife had passed away, his young wife had passed away. He decided that he was going to remarry. Elmira Shelton was her name. And she was a childhood friend that they had been crazy for each other, and then it had all fallen apart, and it all fell apart again. And so he was on a journey to go see her, and all of a sudden he just disappeared for several days and then ended up they found him in front of like a bar, disoriented in somebody else's clothes. It looked like he'd been physically abused, and he was completely just stunned and disoriented, and went to the hospital and then died. There's all sorts of theories. When I was growing up, the main theory was rabies, that they did boat travel up and down the East Coast when you traveled up and down the East Coast. Not that they didn't do carriages and trains and all those types of things, but they did boat travel. And he had taken a boat up north. And some people thought that maybe he'd been bit by a rat on the boat and, that he was rabid. Some people think that he died from drinking, from alcoholism. He did tend to binge, where he would have periods of time where he would be really, off the wagon, and then other times when he was really, really good. Before he had left Virginia, uh, we do know that he had signed a temperate certificate, meaning that a temperate that he was not going to drink anymore. We also know from science today that if you go for a period of time without drinking, then you excessively drink, it can lead to problems. And his own personal physician had said that if he drank again, it could kill him. However, he was a temperate, so we don't know if that's what it was. The problem with all of these different theories is that it happened so long ago. There's no way to really prove it. I think that the most interesting one is cooping. And Baltimore, Maryland, was a very violent political community at that time. And there was a lot of corruption in politics at that time and voter fraud. And cooping was a way that corrupt politicians would get votes. So they would grab someone and they would pin them up in a room, coop them, like a chicken coop, terrify them, sometimes physically abuse them, get them, drunk so that they were off their senses. And then they would take them to a polling place and have them vote. Then they would take them back to the coop, harass them again, change their clothing, and then take them to another polling place to vote. And they couldn't check polling the way that they do today, so that's how they stacked the decks for their candidate. And so some people believe that this happened to Poe. The bar where he was found in front of actually was a polling place. He was in somebody else's clothes. He'd had a large amount of money that he'd been gathering for subscriptions to a literary magazine that he was creating that was gone. It did seem that he was physically abused and disoriented. And so some people have thought that it could be cooping. However, he was also very well known in Baltimore. It could have been very difficult to try to, like, change Poe's clothes or people wouldn't know him. And people also talk about the fact that this theory didn't come out till about, I think it was 10 years or so after his death. However, sometimes people don't connect the dots until, much later. And I'm sure you all have personal experiences where you didn't know what was going on in a specific time period. And then ages later, somebody says something or does something, and all of a sudden something clicks, and you're like, wait a minute. Okay, so theories are that he, died of rabies or TB or all sorts of different things as far as like viral or bacterial infections. Alcoholism is a big one, and then of course cooping is a theory. So people still try to study and figure it out today. So we'll never know. It's a mystery. How very Poe. Wishing you well. Have a happy Friday, and remember that I'm here if you need me. And have a great weekend. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.